Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way, women's basketball. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showmont, and got a podcast for you today. Reaction to the Women's National Championship. I never actually got out my preview video because kind of went over it on Friday night in the live session where I talked about who I thought was going to win. I mean, I said for quite some time that the winner of the UConn UCLA game or USC UCLA game, whatever it would turn out to be, would probably end up winning the national championship. And then after UConn throttled UCLA on Friday, I think it was I don't know that anyone really could have believed that South Carolina had any chance in hell of winning today, especially if they already gotten beaten by 29 by UConn in South Carolina a month ago. And that's basically what we saw again. It's basically what we saw again. UConn wins the national championship 82-59 in an absolute bloodbath. The game got to over 30. It was an epic beatdown. An epic beatdown. There's meme videos now already going around of Dawn Staley having a on the sideline down 14. I'd love to see a video of what she was doing when they were down 30. Could imagine it would have been worse. Azzi Fudd named Final Four most outstanding player, rightfully so. In fact, I mean, you could have given it to one of two players for UConn, and neither of them would have been Paige Bueckers. Sarah Strong was dominant again, as she was in the semifinal against UCLA. But Azzi Fudd carried this team. Azzi Fudd shot the ball exceptionally well, and she carried the team. And despite the fact that ESPN continued to try to push the Paige Bueckers narrative. And at certain points, it becomes sad because if I'm Azzi Fudd's parent and I'm watching this game on TV, I'm sitting here asking, well, why do you keep every time my daughter hits a shot, you talk about Paige? It happened. I mean, I watched it happen. They put up graphics. They did this. It was like a never-ending glazing session for Paige. Paige Bueckers finishes 5 of 14. She didn't do much when the game was actually being decided in the first half. They were up 10 at halftime. She had 6 or 9, something like that. She was 3 of 10, I believe it was, at the half, or I think she was 3 of 10 at the half. She didn't really, she scored a couple of buckets in the fourth when the game was already well out of reach. It's really disappointed in Geno Auriemma leaving the starters out there until there were 2 minutes left in the game. I just thought that was ridiculous. They were up 30, for Christ's sakes. Thought he should have pulled them out with about 7 minutes to go, all of them. Dawn Staley threw the white flag in with 5 minutes left and emptied her bench, and yet Geno still kept them out there because he was doing everything he could to get Paige to finish with a bucket, I think. The game was terrible. The weekend was terrible. You had 3 absolute destructions in all 3 games. And all they could talk about was the player who was the third best player for UConn this weekend. Going 12 for 31 over 2 games. And this isn't a shit on Paige session by any means. And some people, I'm sure, will take it that way. I'm looking right now. Take a look right now. I mean, this is right now. I mean, you would think that she won the tournament. She was the best player in the tournament. You would think that based on what they're showing. Sorry about that. This is the headline. I mean, you would think she was the best player in the tournament. Paige, her and one sends into a frenzy. Yeah. Except that Azzi Fudd was named most outstanding player of the tournament. Why isn't she the one that's being publicized, promoted? Heck, even in the headlines, nothing here about Fudd. Look at this. Nothing. Let's see. Do we see something here? Oh, there's one on Fudd. There's one. Okay. There's no mention of Fudd being named most outstanding player in any of this stuff. After 4 years of disappointment, Paige Bueckers finally lived her and UConn's dream come true. Let's take a look at the stat line. Box score. Sarah Strong, 24 and 15, 3 blocks, 5 assists. Azzi Fudd, 9 of 17, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. Paige Bueckers, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 5 of 14. She was 0 for 5 from 3 in the Final Four. She was 12 of 31 from the field, 38.7%. The most efficient player in the country had 2 subpar to awful games. And even against UCLA, she had 6 and they're up 20. Her numbers came later on when the game was already out of reach. It's kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke. You know, this game got up to over about it was either 30 or 32. It was either 30 or 32. Right here, let's see, 70 to 44 with 8 minutes left, 72 44, 73, 73. It got up to okay, here we go. 541, 78 48. At that point, the whole entire team should have been pulled out the game. And it wasn't. There, they have 32 points with 420 left. Still, an official TV timeout. Still didn't pull them out. Honestly, they pulled everybody out right here. And yet, I don't know. Paige misses a jump shot with 2 minutes. Paige misses a jump Paige misses a jump shot with 147. I mean, it is what it is. But it's in your face. This game was over in the third quarter. South Carolina had no answer. They had no offense. They're offensively inept. They won games by punking people. They won games by being more physical than people. But the reality is, when you play a team as unbelievably talented as UConn is, and UConn's incredibly talented. I mean, it's just what it is. The reason beginning of the year when I said, the fact that Geno Auriemma hasn't been winning championships, despite the fact he clearly still has the most talented teams in the country, people reply, "Oh, they were hurt." They still had They still had 6 All-Americans on the court last year, and lost to Iowa. They still had this year. Yeah, they were healthier. They were healthier. Yeah, they were healthier, and yet they still lost 3 games. Listening to the post game from Geno after the game, and he's in tears, and he's saying that this team finally started to love each other about 2 months ago. And then he also said, "We lost a scrimmage, and I thought we weren't going to make the tournament." Like, stop. He is very, very big with the dramatics. UConn destroyed South Carolina. UConn destroyed UCLA. UConn earned their national championship. They're the best team in the country. They're the most talented team in the country. It's just that simple. You don't beat people like this and not be. The question will forever live on. What if Juju Watkins had played in the Elite Eight? We'll never know. We'll never know. But what we do know is that UConn absolutely annihilated the competition in the Final Four and in the national championship. And for that, they are the earned champions. They balled out. Azzi Fudd was outstanding. Sarah Strong was outstanding. And look, I'm not saying Paige had no impact. She had an impact, but she wasn't being double teamed or anything like that. She was getting man coverage, and she just didn't make shots. She just missed shots. And that's why Azzi Fudd wins most outstanding player, because she was probably the best player on their team. I mean, the game against UCLA, she was clearly the best player. She had 19 at the half and didn't have to do anything in the second half. The game was already over. But watching the Dawn Staley meltdown was kind of amusing, to be honest. Now the question is this: Is Geno Auriemma done? Does Geno Auriemma call it quits? Does he say enough is enough? The man's just won his 12th championship, his first in like 8 or 9 years, and he loses his sweet darling Paige Bueckers. And what's next? You come back again? Be on the lookout for this. Be on the lookout in the next 5 days if any players from UConn jump into the portal. I do believe KK Arnold will jump into the portal. I think there was a major blow up. I remember there was a major blow up this year with her mother, showing scorched earth on social media about Geno. Stuff you would never otherwise see in the past. KK Arnold played a good game today. But if you see some players jumping into the portal, we shall see. I think that's that's big, because I think if you see some players jumping into the portal, it might tell you that Geno might be retiring. I would retire if I were him. I mean, how old is Geno Auriemma? He's 71 years old. He doesn't look it, but he's 71 years old. Like, how much more of this are you gonna do? South Carolina needs a dose of skill. They got some really good players, but they have massive deficiencies. They got massive holes. The holes that they were able to clean up last year because of Camila Cardoso's rebounding and size. They didn't have that same size. Their best player was arguably Joyce Edwards off the bench. Malaysia Fulwiley is talked about so much as being so talented, but yet can't get on the floor consistently. And why is that? And Dawn still will never tell us why. I think the why is very clear. I watch Malaysia Fulwiley play. I don't think she's as good as people think she is. I just don't think she's as good as people think she is. I think she has a basketball IQ issue. I think there's a certain basketball IQ issue when I watch her play. Like, there's something that's not right. She's incredibly athletic, incredibly skilled, but not all the way there mentally when it comes to playing the game with smarts. And when you're someone like Dawn Staley, who's calculated, who's methodical, who's a point guard, and you look at a player like Fulwiley, you're looking at someone who's just seemingly making weird mistakes at odd times or doing things that don't make sense. I mean, I think Raven Johnson is probably the most overrated player, one of, if not the most overrated player in the country. She walks around with her chest puffed out like she is some superstar. Like, I don't even see how this girl would end up being drafted next year. She's a junior. She's still a junior. I don't. She is offensively inept. 35.5% from the field. She's offensively inept. I don't want to hear that she's a leader. I don't want to hear that she plays defense. She's inept. She's not good. She's not good. And the combined, Bree Hall, Johnson, Pow go 3 for 16. They shot 34.5%. They were terrible. But they were terrible because they've not been good scoring the ball all year. When they play teams that are good, they don't score. They just don't put the ball in the hole because they're not built that way. I mean, if you look at their games, even in this tournament, I mean, Indiana, 64 points, Maryland, 71, Duke, 54. I mean, Texas was their biggest scoring output, 74 points. Even if you look into their season, I mean, 71 NC State, 62 versus UCLA, 76 Iowa State, 81 against Duke earlier, 85 versus TCU earlier this season. Texas 67, Bama 76. This is their biggest output. This OU game at 101. That was their one explosion. 62, 58, 78. Against OU, they scored points. I don't know what it is about OU, but they were allergic to defense, clearly. They're not a big-time offensive team. They rely on defense, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to have some level of skilled players. And offensively, they don't have skilled players. They don't have skilled players. And they didn't have the people to dominate in the paint. They didn't have them this year. Chloe Kitts is a decent player. She's not great. I got a little bit of sore throat, folks, so that's why I'm drinking some water. But very, very disenchanting weekend of events. And in the most parity-filled season that I can remember, you had 3 blowouts in the Final Four and national championship. But congratulations to UConn. Congratulations to Geno Auriemma, Azzi Fudd, Sarah Strong, Paige Bueckers. It's a big, big thing for their program to be a champion again. I get it. Big for Paige Bueckers to go out on top. Look, man, she still won, but she didn't play well for 2 games. I mean, she didn't play well. Like, it's okay to sit here and say it. She didn't play well. But yeah, probably not the way the NCAA would have written this thing up. Wherefore, as you watch the men's games last night, my goodness, heart attack city. But that's all I got for this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all. Come on now.